everyone, my name is Michaela and this is LycanhoodReads, and I'm coming at you with an end of the year book tag. Today is like the 2nd of November, so kind of getting at it just in time. I think there are 2 months left in the year and still a lot of reading to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. I believe this has, let's see, I only have 6 questions here, so not too terribly long. Take a look. And I already wrote down like some answers to help guide me a little bit, so there shouldn't be too much umming and umming. Let's see. So, first question, number 1. Are there any books that you've started this year that you need to finish? So that's talking about books that if I've DNF'd any that I wanted to come back to, do I still need to finish those up for the year? And technically, no. So there aren't any books that I DNF'd this year that I need to go back to or like finish reading or give a second chance. But it is the 2nd of November and I'm reading 2 books already. I obviously need to finish those before the end of the year. So the first one would be A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. And it's kind of short. I don't know if it's technically classified as a novella, but I shouldn't have any problem finishing it up. That's the first book in a Monk and Robot book series, so I haven't met the robot yet, just with the monk, but I like Becky Chambers a lot, so that's my first read of November. I'm also reading Seven Devils, let's see, and that is by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb, so that's a collaboration. So Seven Devils, and that is a YA sci-fi with some sapphic vibes, like a space opera deal. I'm really in the sci-fi mood right now, and both of those kind of fit the bill. And I imagine a lot of my reading for November will probably be sci-fi. So those are the 2 that I'm reading, so I obviously need to finish those before the year's over. But other than that, I don't have any specific goals. I planned out my year pretty strictly up until this point, but I still have a lot of books that I wanted to read this year or that I bought last year and planned to read this year and didn't get around to. So really my goal for the last 2 months of the year is just to mood read as much as I can and just pick up, like read as much as I can, here before the year ends and play catch up basically with those books that I didn't get to yet. But I'm not going to force myself to read anything. So I'm not even making a TBR for November. I haven't decided about December yet, but definitely not for November. I'm just going to try to get in there, read whatever seems interesting at the time, and try to dwindle down my general TBR of books that I own but haven't read, because that number is high. Question number 2. Is there a transitional autumnal book that you use to usher in the end of the year? So is there a specific fall book that I read like every year or that I wanted to read this year in order to usher in the end of the year? I'm going to say not really. A Psalm for the Wild Built obviously has those fall vibes down pretty well. But other than that, I'm reading new books as much as I can, and just kind of, I did books for spooky season, but I'm not particularly reading books that are fall themed. This one just happened to come out in fall, and I wanted to read it. So no, I'm mood reading, nothing specific, just kind of getting in there. I'm in the sci-fi mood right now, so there's nothing fall about that. Question number 3, is there a new release you're still waiting for? So this is actually pretty disappointing, but one of the books that I was really, really looking forward to all year, basically, is the Hourglass Throme by Katie Edwards, and that's the 3rd book in the tarot card sequence. And I had it in my head, and also in my notebook, written down, that it was coming out in November. And I'm not sure why I thought that, or if it got pushed back at some point and I missed the announcement, but I thought it was coming out in November. I was looking forward to it all year, very excited. And then like the month comes up and I discover that it's not coming out until next year. I don't know the date, like next year in the spring, I guess. So that was my big like, yay, this is coming out in, the end of the year, but that's not actually happening. So kind of disappointed about that. That got pushed back. So the only thing I'm really looking forward to is on November 16th, a book called You Sexy Thing by Kat Rambo. I'm not supposed to be buying any more new books until after Christmas, but I think I'm going to have to make an exception for this one. Right now I'm planning on reading it on audiobook just because, like, I love the name, and that's a good cover. There's nothing wrong with the cover, but it is kind of just like generic sci-fi cover. You know, I'm not getting too much from that other than that it's a sci-fi book. So I don't feel like I need to own this in physical unless it's like a 5-star read, then I'll probably buy it. But I think for the first go round, I'm just going to read it on audiobook just because it'll be easier for me to get that way. And I have a subscription service with that, so I don't have to pay out of pocket, which is nice. So, to answer question number 3, is there a new release you're still waiting for? Yes, technically I'm still waiting for this You Sexy Thing by Kat Rambo on November 16th. And that's the only thing that I really have written down that I'm excited about still coming out this year. I don't have, as far as I know, there's nothing that I'm highly anticipating coming out, so everything got pushed till next year. Okay, question number 4. What are 3 books you still want to read before the end of the year? So, once again, I'm just playing catch up. So everything that I didn't get around to yet this year is what I'm trying to read these last couple months. If you want me to name 3 specifically, I would say The Jasmine Throne, so that I can complete the, what are they calling it? The Sapphic Trifecta. So the Sapphic Trifecta of 2021 consists of Unbroken. Do I have that up there? Yes, Unbroken right here. And also She Who Became the Sun, over here. Gorgeous. And then the last one is The Jasmine Throne. And these all came out kind of in quick succession back in the summer, and they're all sapphic fantasy books. So I know that on Bookstagram, at least, they're calling it the Sapphic Trifecta, which is an awesome name. But this is the only one I haven't gotten around to read. I loved the other 2, and I'm hoping this one will stand up as well. But it's a pretty thick boy, or girl, should I say? She's a thick lady. And I'm looking forward to it, but I just haven't dived in yet because it is slightly intimidating. But I would hope to finish this one by the end of the year just so that I can say I read those 3 books the year that they came out. And so, yeah. That's one. Another one would be The Boneshard Daughter, which has been on basically every TBR I've had since maybe July, and I just haven't read it. I just haven't. It's kind of like the same with The Jasmine Throne. I'm intimidated by it, and it's so hyped up. Like, it has so much love, especially on BookTube, that I want to love it. Like, I really want to like it, and I want to be in the right mood to read it, I guess. So I keep, like, reading maybe, like, the first sentence or the first chapter, and then putting it down like, not yet. I'm not in the right mindset. But I want to read it by the end of the year. I know the sequel is coming out, I think, this month. And so, yeah, that's on the list. Let's see. Last but not least is a book of short stories called Exhalation by Ted Chiang. I hope that's how I'm saying his name right, Chiang. Who is a fantastic writer. If any of you have seen the movie Arrival with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner, I love it. It's a fantastic movie. One of my favorite First Contact movies of all time, I would say. But that film is based off a story that Ted wrote. And that particular story isn't in this collection. This is a newer collection that came out, I believe, in 2019. And I've read most of it. I say most of it. I read a handful of it, maybe half of it. But the last story that I read was pretty long. I think it's the longest one in the collection and kind of fatigued me a little bit. And I haven't picked it up. Haven't picked it back up. That's a bad thing I do with, like, short story collections is I'll read a story like every couple months or something, and it takes me forever to finish the actual book, sometimes years. So yeah, I would like to finish this whole book, or the rest of it that I haven't finished yet, before the end of the year. But no promises. That's just something I would like to do, especially right now since I'm in a sci-fi mood. It's like, why not? Question number 5. Is there a book you think could still shock you and be a 5-star or a favorite for the year? I mean, yeah, anything's possible, right? Like I said, I'm mood reading. I could pick up anything, including, The Jasmine Throne, including, what was the other one? Boneshard's Daughter. I have high expectations for both those books. You Sexy Thing is a sapphic sci-fi, like crazy kind of heist romp, I think. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think I could really love that. I want to read Ninth Rain, which comes highly recommended by Elliot Brooks on her channel. I want to read that, or by the end of the year. I bought it last year at Christmas, and still I've gotten a whole year round and haven't finished it, or haven't read it, haven't even started it. But Elliot Brooks highly praises it. I think it's going to be great. I think any of those could end up being 5-star reads for me. I haven't had a whole lot of 5-star reads this year. Most of my reads have been, I don't know what the average score is. I've been disappointed by a handful, but I don't think I've done anything higher than like a 4 this year. But rating's not really my thing anyway, so it's hard for me to gauge. But yeah, I think the top spot, there's still some contention. Anything could happen. We'll just have to see, and I'll definitely let you know in my, what will it be, like an end of the year wrap up, I guess, in December, or like right after Christmas maybe. I'll let you know what my favorites of the year were, and if something that I haven't even read yet in November surprises me. Bam! Number 6. Have you already started planning for 2022? Jesus, I don't even know what I'm gonna have for dinner, guys. Have I started planning for 2022? No and yes, I guess. So in 2021, one of my big challenges to myself was to read one new release a month. So that would be 12 new releases for the year, and it would just be a new book coming out each month. The idea behind it was to support my local indie bookstore, which is Evie Shavers down there, downtown Savannah. I wanted to support them by pre-ordering, and I wanted to support the authors by pre-ordering as well. But predictably, that turned out to be pretty expensive, and I did pretty well. I don't know exactly how many I ended up reading this year. I read more than 12 new releases, but it sort of fell off after July. Yeah, I didn't keep up with it after July, mostly because I just couldn't afford to after July, which is fine. So I don't think I'll do that same challenge next year. I will still be reading new releases, but I'm not going to put any pressure on myself or put a number or anything like that. I'll just get what I get, essentially, pre-order what I have the money to pre-order when. Beyond that, next year, I just really want to focus on catching up on the books that I already own, and spending less money on books. I want to utilize the library more, which I feel like I say every year, but I actually did pretty well these past couple months. I was using the library for ebooks and physical books. So I want to use the library more. I want to dwindle down my TBR pile of books that I already own. And as always, I want to focus on LGBTQ plus representation, which I did a fantastic job with this year. A lot, I'd say way over the majority of books that I read had some sort of queer element to them, which is exciting. And I want to keep that going because that's just what I love to read. So that's not even just a challenge for me. That's just what I'm looking for. And I want to read more books by authors of color. That is a bit of a challenge because even if sometimes I'm reading books with a character of color or characters of color, but they'll be side characters or they'll be by a white author. So I'm not giving the support to who needs it in that situation necessarily. And so I have a list in my book. Maybe I'll do a video. But I have a list of authors that I want to check out or books that I at least know are by authors of color, to help support them and to just give more attention in that area. And lastly, indie authors. So Daniel Green over on his channel just recently started a new channel, I don't know, playlists, a series where he's going to talk more about upcoming indie releases. And I'm really excited about that because I'm not up on what's going on in the indie scene. And I feel like the mainstream publishing industry is so loud and so in our faces all the time that it can be hard to see things that are hovering on the periphery. So it can be hard to even like remember that those indie books are coming out and that those indie authors need support. And not only do I feel like they might be telling stories that are a little outside the mainstream, but also that you're likely to find more queer rep there, more people, rep for people of color, more neurodivergency rep. Just in general, I'm looking for sort of out of the box rep, and I'm looking to support indie authors and just looking for different stories. So yeah, I'm excited about Daniel Green's series on that. It's going to be a big help to me next year, and that's something I want to focus on. That's basically it. Catching up, queer rep, authors of color, and indie authors is what I'm looking for next year. That's not like a solid plan. It's just sort of what I want to be thinking about when I'm choosing my reading next year. So that wraps it up for the end of year tag. That was question number 6. And basically my end of year tag is pretty much just, I need to spend less money, but I still want to read books. It kind of summarizes it. So yeah, I'm going to wish you guys happy holidays. Everybody, please stay safe. Enjoy your time with your families. Enjoy cuddling up with a blanket and a cat and a book, maybe, if you can. And I will be back, hopefully in December, with some sort of like best of the year or favorites, video. So, I don't know why I did that. Goodbye.